This one is very, very bitter. Want to try it?
Can I?
Okay. Are you brave?
Yeah.
Maybe she should try it. You should film her reaction. But if you eat one leaf a day, you don't get malaria because the mosquito doesn't like your taste. It's terrible bitter. Okay. My name is Ibu Robin Lim, and I'm a grandmother, I'm a mother, and I'm a midwife. We're here today in Bali, Indonesia, at Bumi Sehat, where we have a community health and childbirth clinic. We also have a youth and disaster relief resource center. It's a nice place to be. My mother is Filipino, and my father is American. They met in the Philippines, and then right after they got married, they lived in Okinawa, which is where I was made. I feel like growing up as a kid in places like the Philippines, Okinawa, and sometimes in the Pacific Northwest, I had a big relationship with the trees and the plants, the herbs, the birds, different herbs that were just growing anywhere, and I would press them and put them in books, and I would try to write down, can this be used as medicine? Can it be used for healing?
Was it because of your parents or just
My
you?
grandmother, my Filipino grandmother, is a healer in the Philippines. They call it hilot. So before World War II, she had there's no medicine in the hospital. There's only the plants. So she taught me when I was a child how to love the plants. If you care for them, they care for you. Try not to break it. She's eating lemongrass.
She loves it.
I think maybe she feels a little bit sick, so she will eat this. Nobody wants a dog like this with no one leg missing, but I love her.
Yeah, she's adorable.
She's a special dog. My father was shipped away to Vietnam to fight in the war. First he was in Korea for a year, and my father then, after Korea, he went to Vietnam. And during the time he was in Vietnam, he got really traumatized. And all the soldiers had to see this, that Asians don't have souls, and you can kill as many as you want because it won't make any difference. They don't have souls. Then when he came home, he was just so confused. And there were a few times in the night when my mom would move in bed, and he would be asleep, and he'd be dreaming he was in Vietnam, and somebody was coming to get him in bed to ambush him, and he would choke my mom. It also turned me into an anti-war activist. I would say that peace is, for me, the most important thing that we do on Earth. And I feel like all of my children, as they've grown, and now my grandchildren, they are a piece of peace. And I know that doesn't translate, but like a little piece of peace, it's every single individual is so important. My sister died in 1990. Growing up, I had 3 brothers, and I had 1 sister, and she was 15 months younger than me. So I was really close to my sister, Christine. When Christine was having her 3rd baby, she had insurance, and she was living in the United States. And so my half-Asian sister, who also was very overweight, she went to the doctor with her Korean husband, and he was really not so nice to them. And he just saw someone that he didn't like because he judged them as being Asians. So he told her he would see her again in a week or 2, and that not to bother him now, he was really on the clock, and goodbye. Unfortunately, he did not notice that her blood pressure was super high, dangerously high. Later that night, she died, and she was 32 years old. in the prime of her life, and her death was preventable. After my sister died, I just was looking for answers in my life, and my big question is what can I do to make this world a better place? What can I do to make sure that nobody's sister dies? And I was at that time just beginning my study of midwifery, and I could do something with my pain, and I could turn that pain into a power, because nobody's sister should die like that, and nobody's mother should die, and nobody's daughter should die. I also wanted to know, because as a mother, how can we raise children to be peaceful? And so I wanted to find out about a culture that was so kind and loving to their children as souls and to their old people. And so I thought, I really want to find out what that is. And we decided to come to Bali and to find out what this was. It really was an amazing thing, and we never left. By the time I arrived here in the 90s, by 1993 for sure, every family was talking about the mothers they lost. Every family was missing women who had died in childbirth. And I would go to see some of the midwives, but I saw that the midwives didn't have supplies. I was thinking, we got to do something. And then I was with a midwife when a baby was born. And it was a single mother, which is rare here. There's no provision for single mothers. And she started to bleed, and she bled, and she bled, and she bled, and she bled. And I felt like the midwife really didn't understand. From that, I learned that we needed a project that supported mothers, even if they were single mothers, even if they were poor, and that supported the midwives to have the supplies they need.